In the days after October 7th, President Joe Biden tried to help Americans touch the size of Israel's horror and grief by translating it into the terms of our own tragedies.
Since this terrorist attack took place, we've seen it described as Israel's 9/11. Well, for a nation the size of Israel, it was like 15 9/11s.
15 9/11s. Imagine that level of trauma. Imagine that loss. We're almost 2 years on. The death toll in Gaza is now estimated to be over 61,000 people. There are a little over 2 million Gazans. The US government is not spending much time trying to help Americans grapple with their scale of grief and loss. But in our terms, it is like 2,500 9/11s. I know there are those who want to cast doubt on the death toll. It's from the Hamas-run Ministry of Health, we're told. But when The Lancet, the medical journal, tried to fill in the gaps in the data, they concluded that the true number, the real death toll, is likely far higher. Gaza is a strip of territory about the size of Detroit, Michigan. Since October 7th, Israel's dropped more than 100,000 tons of explosives on this sliver of land. That is more tonnage of explosives than was dropped on Dresden, Hamburg, and London combined during World War II. Aerial photography shows that 70% of all structures in Gaza, all the homes and hospitals, mosques, schools, are severely damaged or destroyed. You just cannot drop that many bombs on such a densely populated strip of land without mass casualties. But it is not just the casualties. Israel has also been restricting the flow of food into Gaza. Aid organizations have been warning all along of growing hunger, of the possibility of famine. Then, in March, Israel blockaded aid into Gaza for 11 weeks. Then it largely ended the existing aid infrastructure the UN had built and replaced the hundreds of operating sites of aid distribution with 4 sites, run by inexperienced American contractors. Famine is now spreading across Gaza. People are dying of hunger. The images and the videos and the stories here, not just of the starving, but of the people, of the children, their bowls out, begging for help, lining up to get food. Hundreds having been killed at these aid distribution sites. It is beyond what I have the capacity to imagine. What would it be like to not be able to find food for my children, to not be able to feed them, to have them lose their mother or their uncle or me because we went to get food for them? The idea that this is made up, that it is a concoction of Hamas or anyone else, just listen to the aid workers who have been there.
People have been hungry for months.
Famine is unfolding. It's not pending anymore. It's happening. People are starving to death as we speak. Children are starving to death as we speak.
You can imagine what the parents are writing on the social media. They are thanking God for the loss of their children who have been killed in a certain time of the war because of the bombardment or the invasion. They are thanking God that they have lost their children to not reach to this stage while their children are asking them to feed them and they didn't have any capacity.
And if it really isn't that bad, if this is all just propaganda, Israel could prove that easily. Let reporters in. Let independent inspectors in. But they won't do that because this is not a trick. Because it is not just propaganda. This is hunger as a policy. Hunger as a weapon of war. This is a siege. Almost 2 years after October 7th, what is the point of this siege? Is it to break what is left of Hamas? What is left of Hamas? A group of about 600 ex-Israeli security officers, including former heads of Mossad and Shin Bet, released a letter saying that, quote, "It is our professional judgment that Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat to Israel." Is the point of this to get the hostages back? This is endangering the hostages. They are being starved alongside the Gazans.
מה יקרה עם זה? אני כבר לא אוכל, לא יודע כמה ימים ברצף.
The main group in Israel representing the families of the hostages said, quote, "Netanyahu is leading Israel and the hostages to doom." Is the point of this to make Hamas capitulate by threatening to starve thousands or tens of thousands of Gazans to death? To malnourish and stunt a generation of children? That is illegal under any conception of international law. What is this? This is a war crime. This is a crime against humanity. But more and more people are using another word, a word that I've stayed away from on this show: genocide. Is this a genocide?
What is happening in Gaza reflects a genocide in the making.
In December of 2023, when South Africa accused Israel of genocide before the International Court of Justice, I thought they were wrong to do so. Israel had been attacked. Its self-defense was legitimate. The blood here was on Hamas's hands. Israel was doing what any country in the world would have done in response. But over the last year, I've watched a slew of organizations and scholars come to the view that whatever this began as, it has become genocidal. Amnesty International, B'Tselem, Human Rights Watch, Amos Goldberg, professor of Holocaust history at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, Melanie O'Brien, the president of the International Association of Genocide Scholars.
I would determine that what is happening at the moment in Gaza constitutes genocide.
But one reason I have stayed away from the word is that there is an imprecision at its heart. When people use the word genocide, I think they imagine something like the Holocaust, the attempted extermination of an entire people. But the legal definition of genocide, what it means in international court, encompasses much more than that. At the same time, the word genocide has the power it does because it is rooted in the Holocaust. To accuse Israel, to accuse any state or group of genocide, is to tie them in cultural memory to the worst acts human beings have ever committed. If Israel becomes widely seen, not just as the state born of a genocide, but as the state that then perpetrated one, it will forever transform the meaning of the Jewish state. So again, what is a genocide? And is this one?
I have trouble understanding how it is possible to treat human beings in this way, to treat children in this way, to treat elderly people in this way. It is literally beyond my comprehension.
I recently sat down with Philippe Sands, a lawyer who specializes in genocide cases, to try and answer those questions.
And in a sense, where I come back to is I'm not focused on whether it's a war crime or a crime against humanity or a genocide, which is a distraction from the real issue. It is utterly appalling and unjustifiable, and it should not be happening. And these debates about whether to characterize something as X or Y or Z are not helpful because they distract us from the horror that is happening and that is unfolding before our own eyes.
You can find our conversation on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.